What's up everybody, Bandit here. So if you recall, 2 weeks ago we did install the Orange Virus tune on this Tacoma in my truck, and for the past 2 weeks we've been kind of getting to live with it a little bit. Now I've only been able to put a little over 100 miles on the truck since then, and it's been almost all city driving, but I definitely have a better impression of it now after living with it for a couple days, and I definitely want to share that with you all. But a lot of y'all expressed a lot of different questions and concerns in the comment section of that video, and I want to address all of that today. Now, the first one revolves around the technical service bulletins, the TSBs that Toyota releases from time to time. We've had several of those with the transmission tuning, and a lot of y'all said that with the new TSB for the transmission, it fixes a lot of the common transmission issues that a lot of people have with these trucks, and you're wondering how or why you would go with this tune versus just the TSB. And the answer to that, for me at least, is pretty simple. Now, the transmission tuning TSB only fixes the transmission, as we talked about in the last video where we installed the tune on this truck. This Orange Virus tune fixes a lot of different issues. It certainly adds more power to the truck, as well as tunes the transmission and various other facets of the truck, and really makes it for a whole new driving experience. And especially after living with it for the past 2 weeks, I definitely agree with that statement. But also, one thing to keep in mind, the tune that I have on this truck is constantly evolving as well. So, you know, when Toyota releases their new TSBs, all of that is factored into this tune as well. So here within the next couple days, I'll be installing the 1.05 edition of this tune, let's call it, and that will have the newest TSB on it. It's not like when you go to this tune, you're just scrapping everything Toyota does. Certainly everything and all of the updates that Toyota factors in with these trucks is, again, factored in by Matt from OV-Tune, and he will get that out to you with this tune on the truck. It's not like a one-time thing where you simply download it and you're stuck with that exact software for the rest of your ownership of the truck. It's constantly evolving, just like everything else with these trucks, and as more and more people get to drive them and more research hours get put on these trucks, the better off everything will be. And that's certainly one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is, several of y'all have been talking about the Pedal Commander mods and the ShiftSense Pro, I believe is what it's called, which is kind of a transmission tuner and a pedal tuner. And you ask why I did not go with one of those for my truck. And the answer to that, again, is pretty simple. With the Pedal Commander, you're only kind of fooling the truck into basically adjusting the pedal a different way. So it kind of livens up the pedal response from what I've read on Tacoma World and from what I've seen on other people and what they've explained to me. But basically it just kind of sharpens up the pedal input, gives a little bit better throttle response, and the ShiftSense Pro basically does the same thing to the transmission. But each of those modifications are, say, roughly $300. I'm not sure the exact cost, but if you have $300 and that's just for a Pedal Commander, that makes swallowing the pill for this tune a little bit easier, because it's not just the pedal tuning, it's not just the transmission tuning, you're also tuning the motor. You are getting more power like we talked about. It is roughly 25 horsepower and 25 foot-pounds of torque, I believe. I'll give you all a link to the exact dyno sheets, but it is considerable. You know, when you think you only have 278 crank horsepower, which means you're getting a lot less to the wheels since this is a four-wheel drive truck, you know, that is a pretty substantial amount. It's, you know, roughly 10% of your overall amount. And you know, a lot of people felt like this was not very much power for the amount of money that this tune costs. Now, this tune is a little bit more expensive. It is $770, but with that, you're also getting the Tactrix OpenPort 2.0, which is roughly a $170 cable, at least on eBay, and all that is included in the price of the cost of the tune. So you're looking at, just for the software of the tune, which again is continuously evolving, it's roughly $600, which it's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but it's not as outlandish as you might think. You know, if you would go to Toyota and want them to install modifications that would add 25 horsepower to your truck, I'm not sure that they could do that. You know, say you get the TRD intake and the TRD exhaust, you're looking at over $1,000 in those two modifications. They are both very, very pricey. but I'm not really sure how much power that would add. I think you would fall more into the illusion of power than the actual hard data for power. And driving around in this truck, it definitely has more power than stock. You'll notice that it stays in a lower gear, and when you just ease into the pedal a little bit, like say I'm going about 40 miles an hour right now on this kind of mountainy road at 1800 RPMs. If I just ease into the pedal, I accelerate. You don't hear the hard shift down, and it really tries to, bring you up to speed in a hurry. It will gradually build speed, which my truck never did in the past. It seems like if you just gave it a little bit of pedal before the tune, it would shift down and want to take off like a rocket, and that's not really what any of us want. We want just a little bit more gradual speed. Now, with that being said, if you do really hammer the pedal, this thing's ready to take off as well. It really just livens up the experience. It's kind of like running a marathon in a pair of muck boots when you first get your truck. It gets it done, but it's not really the best way to do it, in my opinion. Now, when you put the tune on your truck, it's like getting a good pair of running shoes, and the truck is just happier. It feels like it's not trying to fight itself, and it feels like it is performing up to the standard that I think we all know these trucks are capable of. So if you're an astute viewer, you may recall that when we uploaded the tune onto this truck, it was getting roughly 20.5 miles to the gallon before we started with this Orange Virus tune. That was just on the stock tune. Now, I do normally drive in a pretty rural part of Virginia. There's not a whole lot of stop and go. We're normally cruising around about 40-45 miles per hour. And that's how I achieve, I guess, the better fuel economy that I get versus a lot of you all. Now, admittedly, I have been doing more city driving since I am back down here at school, and as a result of that, my fuel economy has changed. We're now looking at, let me scroll here to it, 20.0 miles to the gallon, and so we've lost roughly 0.5 of a mile to the gallon. But again, I am doing basically all city driving now instead of the rural backroads driving that I was before. So I wouldn't think that the tune caused worse fuel economy. Again, I think it's more of a circumstance change now that I'm doing more city driving, but we'll be sure to keep you all up to date with all of that. Also, if you do get on Tacoma World, there are a lot of other people documenting their experiences with this, but not a whole lot of people really go through the whole install process and living with it day to day. And it's harder to conduct a full conversation with them, and that's really what I would like to do with you all here. So if you do have any more questions, be sure to leave those in the comment section of this video. And really, if you have any more ideas on modifications, this was brought up by several of you all because you wanted to see this tune done on one of these Tacomas. If you have any other modifications or questions about these trucks, let us know. We'll be certainly happy to test them out and give you all our 2 cents. Now, should you buy this tune now? I would say absolutely. Chad has already been talking about trying to get one for his truck. It really is a pretty good difference, and it makes the truck a lot more comfortable in day-to-day driving. This is the first vehicle that I've tuned. Normally it's just been bolt-on modifications or whatever with my previous vehicles. But you need to remember, if the tune changes and gets any better later on, everyone will be notified, and then you can run the latest tune. It's not like with traditional modifications where, say you get an exhaust and then 6 months later down the road there's a better exhaust comes along and what you have is basically obsolete. That's not really the case here with the tune. Whether you bought it, whether you're the very first person to buy this tune or whether you bought it yesterday, everyone is able to run the same software, and whenever there's a better software out, that software will be available to everyone that has bought it. So really, I wouldn't say there's ever a bad time to buy it, and I've had nothing but a good experience to document with the tune so far. But I'll be sure to keep you all updated on all of that. But thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. Again, if you have any more questions or concerns, drop those in the comment section. If you like this video and like the rest of our content, be sure to like this video on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We do really appreciate the support. But thank you all again for watching. We'll catch you next time. Alright guys, so I just pulled back in the garage here, and we'll go ahead and scroll down. Here is my average fuel economy to verify that 20.0 number, and then we'll go ahead and turn the truck off and see what we averaged over that trip. So as you can see here, we went 24 miles and averaged 20.5 miles to the gallon.